let's get on to hooking up the wires for the thermal sensor. So I'm looking down under the shroud through this door. Make the light a little better. Okay, so you can kind of see down in there. So that is the terminal connector that goes into the thermal switch. It's got two wires running out of it. So I gather one of them needs to be grounded and one of them needs to be connected to the temp press circuit. So I will do that with alligator clips, see if the idiot light comes on, stays without the engine running. I'm not running the engine. And then if that's the case, I can do a permanent connection. So that connector with the blue on it is connected to the tang of the thermal switch. There's two wires coming from it. It grounds through the body. So only one of those wires needs to be connected to the temp press circuit, the one that makes the idiot light go on in case you're overheating. I think the other one probably was there as part of the cruise control, possibly. Not sure what other reason there would have been to have two wires coming off of that lead. So maybe what I'll do is just put the terminal on both the wires, connect both of them into the circuit. So this was the one wire I'd gone into this blade connector coming from the pressure one. I'm going to cut it off. Strip back. Wire a little bit. And then take these two that were coming from that temp switch, strip them back. Take all three of them. I don't think a blue one is big enough, and I don't have a yellow one of the right size. Well, that blows. No, definitely not. Oh well. Let's see if I've got a yellow one in a different container somewhere. Yellow is for larger gauge. Alright, change of plans. We're going to twist these together, put them into a single butt connector. And then on the other side, I've got a new length, and we'll couple that with the end of the wire coming from the pressure switch. Crimp it. Now, take this end here. Okay, there. Put those together. So we've got the connector going into there. It's all spliced together there. And let's go into the car and see what happens now when we turn the key. The other idiot light is for gen and fan. And really what that is supposed to tell you is if your alternator, generator, in this case alternator, even though the generator was standard originally with this car. This was a swap later. Anyway, if that light comes on, it is because that's not charging. And a good chance the reason it's not charging is because the belt has come off or broken. And if that's the case, then you've got no fan. So right now, because of this swap, I'm having difficulty figuring out what to connect in order to get that idiot light to function again. There is back underneath here a wire that I don't know yet what it comes to, but it looks like it might be the one I need because according to the manual, I'm tracing back the charging and generator circuit information in the wiring diagram. Here it says generator telltale, and the one that goes back to the body connector is a 20 gauge brown, fairly small wire, runs through, gets into the engine compartment, stays 20 gauge brown until this connector, which maybe this is the one in the engine compartment and that's somewhere under the dash. Anyway, 20 gauge brown comes over here, it follows up around here, stays 20 gauge brown. It goes to, if there was a voltage regulator, it goes to the A. I don't remember what A stands for. Armature. So because this is internally regulated, there is no external voltage regulator. It's called a single wire setup. So I don't know if that means that I can just connect that brown wire to the output. That to me says it would be on all the time. So I'm gonna do a little research and see how they dealt with the extra wire. I'll do some research and see how they dealt with that telltale wire in these single wire connections. Alright, unfortunately there's a bit of a puddle and soggy bolts there. I bought new gaskets and I could drain the oil and pull the pan and clean everything, but I'd like to drive this car before I change the oil. Oil looks pretty good now on the dipstick, so, and I did add some more to bring it up to the full level. So instead I will take tools and a socket and try not to get my arm all oily and tighten those up without too much. If you tighten them too much, you deform the pan. That's a bad thing. So I'm just going to snug them up without going too far. So I discovered that there are some screws missing underneath here, 5 of them, all at the front of the pan. Also, all of these were barely hand tight. I mean, there was a noticeable amount of movement to get them to a snug. So hopefully this cuts back on the leaking. So we've got screws in all of the holes now. I was able to find the right thread and so forth. So I'm going to put a piece of cardboard underneath here and see if I get any more drips on it. Hopefully not. So that pipe is not where it needs to be. So I'm going to try spinning it with the understanding that it may not aim straight down, but at least it will get us closer into that corner. And I'm hoping I don't have to cut that off and re-weld it on in the right orientation, because I didn't get a Corvair muffler. Let's see what happens. Okay, there's the grill. Yeah, I think we can live with that. It looks a little odd, but it's functional. So I can snug up the hanger bolt and then also clamp the inside end of the exhaust pipe into the muffler. Alright, we've got the rear grille on. What we don't have is the piece of seal material to seal at the back edge of the engine. We'll look for that. I couldn't find it. We'll look maybe a little harder. Maybe I've got something somewhere else. Anyway, to install this, you get it lined up, and there are Phillips head screws that go up through there at each of the larger openings. And then on the end, I don't know if I can get up in here, there is a I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, there's a hex head screw that goes through the flange of the grill and into a threaded hole in the body. So I plopped open a glove box door at some point. Didn't really pay attention, but there are things in it. A 4-speed shifter ball. I don't have a 4-speed in here, but look at this. Yes, trunk lock. And trunk lock retainer clip. And some bulbs. A ice clear. A list. Antiseptic. Door lock. Should know what that is, but I don't recognize it. Oh, could be another, I don't know. I was thinking it could be another latch for a glove box. Spark plug. Pencil. Clip for a door lock. Piece of sound deadener. Some wire. A grommet for a door handle. Bunch of business cards. More business cards from this owner. And a handful of screws, washers, and a few more screws. Washers, fuse, a key. We got the spare key for the gas door. Alright, that's cleaned out. Let's see what we can make sense out of this tray. So first of all, let's find that door lock. I'm sorry, the trunk lock. That's interesting. Again, don't know what that is. There it is. Key. What do you think? what are the chances that the key will fit that lock? Not that one. I'll try the ignition switch. No, but I have other keys. We'll see what other keys work with us. Tried all of those keys there, none of them fit. And I guess we'll see if this key fits the gas cap. Good to have a spare. It certainly looks the same. I don't know if I'm putting this in wrong. Okay. Yeah, it turns. So I'll put that back in the glove box. While we're looking in here, those two screws hold the gas door in place. And what's missing is a stop that has, I'm assuming, a couple of screws underneath here. Maybe it just broke off. Anyway, I need that before I can install the door because the door colt's too far without the stop. So, rear seat pieces are out. I vacuumed everything up. Trick is to install the back first. You need to screw these brackets, this mechanism for tilting the back down. They screw into 3 holes there. Each side has got 3 of those screws that hold it down. So we'll carefully put the back in and bolt it down, flip it up, and then install the bottom. Alright, seat's in. One thing I'm missing is the latch mechanism. I'm sure it's somewhere, but seat folds down nicely. There's a plate that goes across there that I will dig out, try to find the screws and install it as well. But let's put the bottom in, get it out of the way. Alright, the seat bottom's in. Now, this piece here has to attach in such a way that when it folds down, it covers up that space. Oh, I can't get you far enough away. Yeah, it sits in there. So, some of these screws go there. I'm missing a lot of those. Did not come with the car. I salvaged some, harvested some at the Corvair Ranch, and now we'll put as many in as we can. Alright, panel's in. It was no small feat to fight the spring to get the center middle screw in going first. We have those in, and now with second hand I can flip the seat back. There's the panel. We're good. Now we don't have nearly enough screws to finish all of the openings there because I didn't know that I needed those big stainless ones there. So now I'm going to work on finding the bolts that hold the seat in place. Get the front seat in. Alright, I am looking for what it's going to take to finish back in there. And it'd be nice to go all the way back, but there's something there. So I'm thinking from there up to there. This is what I've got. I've got 4 of these. I'm thinking 2 are nice, 2 are the same, but not so nice. These look like they were repainted from the silver. These are probably the original ones to the donor car. So I'm going to see how these fit. Those are my stainless kind of domed headed Phillips screws. Let's see what happens. I have a box. It was sitting on the Le Mans, not where I remembered it being, but that doesn't matter. And then it was a bunch of old, I'm sorry, that's all fuzzies. Don't know if it's new or old. We'll look into that later. Found all this windlass, which is used up along the edge to hold the headliner in, as well as along the door edges to protect from sharp edges. And it was also a bunch of doorknobs and door handles, 3 armrests, so we're missing one there, and 2 decent looking panels to cover up the heater ducts on the floor. So we'll go through here, find the right ones, clean up the ones that we can use, and install them. So I've sorted the windlass here by sizes, and like most of the things, there's double what I need. I need to look more closely whether they're silver or blue. I think they're all blue. I'm going to pick 2 from each, although down here there are only 2. I'll pick 2 from each of the other stacks that appear to be the cleanest and nicest, and clean them and even more and find them places. Alright, the windlass cleaned up and fits nicely. Holds the edge of the headliner fine. Goes all the way down to the bottom of the door. And then there'll be that chrome threshold strip that goes on. I just need that section there, and I'll have that side done. Oh yeah, and I need that section that runs down there, and probably there and there. Let's see. So I came out this morning to attempt to start the car, and the battery was dead. So there must be some drain in here. I know I didn't leave any doors open. For that matter, there's no bulb in the dome light. Also, the key was turned off. The glove box door was closed. So I don't know what the drain could have been. Hopefully it's not something how I wired this up has created a drain. Could be that the brake lights, I'm pretty sure I pulled all that apart, so I don't know. Anyway, could just be the battery's crap. So I've got the battery back on the charger again. I figured in the meantime I would install the belt. This one's kind of got a, like it's been on a while, but we're not going to worry about that. This is just to get us functional. So the pulley wheel needs to be loosened. It's a 9/16. Had a nice short 9/16. It has disappeared sadly, like many tools do. Makes getting into it's a little bit more difficult. There we go. Someone has put in what looks to be like some sort of lock nut in this position, so unfortunately that extends farther and prevents being able to do this easily. Alright, everything's loose. We're going to get the belt around the harmonic balancer pulley. Around the alternator. Idler. Then we pull back on the idler and start tightening up the nut that was too hard to get. That is a guard that is put on to try to keep the movement of the belt down. But if the belt's properly tensioned, it's not a problem, especially if you're running with an automatic and you're not driving it like you're on a racetrack. But I'll keep that on there. Just got to make sure that it's not actually rubbing on the belt all the time. So I've put some fuel in the bowl of this carburetor. Really at idle, only needs one carburetor to run. Nothing's in the way here. Oh, yes. I need to go get a turn spring for the throttle. I will borrow that from Scarlett, the 64 convertible. That came off of Scarlett. This is on backwards. I put about 1.5 gallons or so of gas in the tank. So let's see what happens. Alright, a little more time has passed. I put fuel in both the bowls now. Let's see what happens. It looks like maybe I have a stuck needle in this other side because I'm seeing constant vapor coming back. I've tapped on it with a hammer and it's gotten better, but it's still there. So I think maybe I've flooded this one side. It doesn't seem to want to start now. I'll give it another try. If it still doesn't start again, then I'll go ahead and check and see if there's any gas in the gas line to indicate whether the fuel pump's working. I'm going to see if the transmission will shift into gear. That was a good sign. Now I'm going to check. Not a fan of that noise, but I'm going to check and see what kind of charging voltage I have. So we're at 13 coming from the alternator at idle. So that's good. I don't think that died because of no gas, although I can look down in the carburetor. The other side is not, doesn't have vapor anymore, So let me check. So what we're looking for is, do I see any vapor when I blip the throttle? Yes, I do. So I've got gas. Excellent. I think the idle just needs to be bumped up a little bit.